What up guys, ThatzNOTmetal here bringing you the first ever episode of Super Metal Recommendations. Now this is a video series that I've been wanting to do for quite a while now, and as the title says, this is recommendations and albums, EPs and whatnot that I think you should personally check out if you're into metal, rock or anything like that, whatever genres come up in these videos. Now these are albums that I think personally either get overlooked, very underrated, or unknown sort of stuff, very much so, or they are albums of particular big artists that kind of get overlooked, and I think personally stick out a little bit like a sore thumb, and in a good sense that is. But yeah, it's going to usually entail 5 albums, and the last one of the 5 releases will be the one that I think gets overlooked, or the one that I personally think you should check out the most. Like, all these albums and EPs, yeah, check them out. But the last one I particularly advise you check out. But needless to say, let's get on with it, because I've got 5 records to talk about. And we're going to start off with a vinyl piece. I've got this album on CD as well, but I wanted to show the vinyl one. I've also got a shirt of this album, and some of you may know, if you're friends with us, will know exactly which album I'm talking about. And I'm talking about Wodensthone with Loss. Now, if you're into atmospheric black metal, you may have heard of this name come about, and if you haven't checked them out, then there is something wrong with you. Because this album, to me, I love atmospheric black metal. I love Abigor, Winterfire, Wodensthone, amongst others. But Wodensthone, in my opinion, write the best atmospheric black metal, and loads of people think that I'm crazy for thinking that, but this album is perfect to me. This is easily a 10 out of 10. So much atmosphere, so much ambience. It's real beauty within this album. It's still got that raw atmospheric black metal vibe and general black metal vibe, but there's some real beauty in this music. I can listen to this album if I'm just wandering around and just enjoying life, basically. Or I can, one of my favourite times to listen to this album, the 2 favourite times I should say, number 1 is going to sleep. I usually stick on an album on my docking station and just drift off into a nice slumber. This is one of the top albums that I like to listen to. And also one of my other favourite places, and particular fans of atmospheric black metal will know exactly what I'm talking about, especially when you're going for like a ramble or a wander somewhere and in like the countryside or whatever. This is the type of album to listen to. It is absolutely fantastic. Gorgeous artwork, gorgeous music, so filled with atmosphere and just so much yes factor to it. And to me, this is easily one of my top 3 albums of all times. It's that good. It's so good, in fact, it is worthy of the Super Metal 1999. Sorry, 1999, what the fuck am I on about? Super Metal 1993 recommendations list, and this is a definite recommendation. We can just put that over there. The second one we're going to be talking about is an EP, and that is Arcane Roots with Heaven and Earth. Now, this EP was a kind of newcomer to this list, and the reason I wanted to publicise this a little bit more is because this band, I saw them opening up for, oh sorry, not opening up, main support for Fightstar last year, and I had no idea who they were. I mean, I'd heard the name hovering around somewhere, I can't remember who, where I'd heard it, but I'd heard some good things about them, so I was looking forward to checking them out. And then when I eventually saw them live, I was blown away by their sheer power and emotional vibe, like and as if beauty. I mean, it's progressive metal with a bit of a metalcore-esque to it, but what it has is sheer raw power, but not in the sense of like heaviness and down tempo or anything like that. It's just sheer power and emotion driven, this EP, and it reflects so much on their live performance and on record. I mean, this is fantastic stuff. This, if you're into anything progressive and with sheer raw emotional power, then this is definitely for you. It is so good, and definitely something that I think went under the radar a little bit in a sense in 2015, and whoever eventually check this out will know exactly what I'm on about. And I might as well just quickly say all links to these bands will be linked in the description, so you can check out the song and their Facebooks and whatnot. So check out this EP by Arcane Roots. It's fantastic. Yeah, there's nothing more I can say. It is great. The second one was a release from 2011. Now this is this album appeared in my top, I think it was top 20 or top 15 list of 2011, I can't remember the exact number, but this was a great album, and I've not really heard many people talking about this band, but I think people should be talking about them more, and quite rightly so, and I'm talking about Bloodstained Child with Epsilon. Now this album, what for me was a bit of an overlook that I did. My friend was a massive fan of Japanese kind of themed metal bands, anime sort of stuff, and he always talked about Bloodstained Child as being a great band, and that he was excited about the upcoming album, aka Epsilon. And then when I finally went out to check it out, at first the older stuff, it was okay. I was like, yeah, it's cool, it's got a good vibe to it. But then when I heard this album when it came out, and he was recommending it all the time, I thought, fine, I'm going to check it out. This album blew me away. This is superb music. This is kind of like a more extreme version of Amaranth. That's the perfect way I can describe it. This is incredible music. So much intensity, so much grit for a symphonic kind of. It's kind of like symphonic, trancey death metal kind of stuff. Maybe an essence on the death metal is a bit overlooked, but it's very groovy, very thrashy, but it still has that trance vibe that Amaranth is known for. And with the aggression behind those screams, it definitely impacts you like off your feet. And from that first note of those screams, which is like a couple of seconds into the first song, you're just like, oh yes, that's sheer power, that is. But then when the clean vocals kick in from Sophia, you just think to yourself, okay, that is a completely different vibe. And then it goes back into the screams, and then it goes back into the cleans, and it's very back and forth, but it sticks to your attention and keeps you focused on this record, and that's a great thing to have. And this is so experimentative in some ways. It's so different, but it's so likeable. I mean, if you're into trancey kind of metal, or you think there needs to be more trancey metal bands, you need to check out this shit, because this is fucking awesome. So much aggression, so much feels, and there's so many great songs on this album. It's going to be very difficult for me to choose songs in which for you to check out in the description bar below, but I'll probably, whatever songs I can find, I'll link in the description for you to check out. But this album is great, check it out. The next one, and the fourth one, is Abigor with, I'm sorry if I butcher this, Le Motif Lucifer, The Seven Temptations of Man, or Seven Temptation of Man, whatever. But yeah, this is some killer, really aggressive form of black metal. If you're into stuff like Dark Funeral, Watain, or even maybe in a sense New School Immortal sort of stuff, then this is definitely a record for you to check out. Like, I'm not really exposed enough to older Abigor, but when I heard this album for the first time, I was really impressed with that raw atmosphere that it has. It's not exactly like the rawest of albums, but the intensity and the diabolicalness of this record oversteps that. It's fucking tremendous. If you're into, say, if you didn't think The Wild Hunt was all that good, but you love Lawless Darkness, then this is definitely. And by the way, when I say that, if you love The Wild Hunt, if you didn't think The Wild Hunt was that good, but you love Lawless Darkness by Watain, incorrect English, sorry, then this is definitely the album for you. It's got that aggression, that raw kind of demonical kind of sound to it, and it's definitely something that I think is overlooked a little bit. But this album is fantastic, and I might as well say the packaging on this album is fantastic. A5 digipacks that blows away how good they are. But this album definitely blew us away with how good it is, and it's definitely something, if you just want your face ripped off by some killer black metal, this is definitely for you. It is fantastic, and loads of people will agree who have actually had the pleasure of listening to this album. It is fantastic. And now we get to the fifth and final record that we're going to be talking about today. Cheers, guys, by the way. Now, this album, as I said before at the start, is going to be the overlooked album, the one that I think needs a bit more appreciation for it. And this band I saw opening for Carcass, Obituary, Napalm Death, and Voivod on the Death Crusher tour. They were the opening band, and I didn't know who they were, but I decided to check them out and see, go down early and check them out and support them a little bit. So, me and my friend, we were standing next to each other, and we were just waiting for them to come on, and they came on, and everyone else around us was just like, this is shit, I'm leaving, and just, like, went away. But there was a couple of us who just stood there and were just like, oh, that is so good. And it was good, in my opinion. It was something original, something different, and something that I think was a breath of fresh air to me, in all honesty. It was something that I'd never really heard. And the band I'm talking about is the band Herod. And the album in which I'm talking about is their debut album, They Were None. This album is superb. So much grit, so much rawness. It's the perfect way I can describe it is like down-tempo groove metal. That's the best way I can describe it. It's got some, it's not really down-tempo as in like Black Tongue or down-tempo deathcore or anything like that. It's just doomy kind of groove metal. It's kind of like Chimera meets Black Tongue in an essence. And to me, I love both of those bands, but to hear that live was just so good. And I looked on their Facebook, went to like them on Facebook as soon as I heard them, and I read they only had a couple of thousand likes, and I was like, really? That is sad to hear. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go over to the merch table, and I bought the CD of the album, and when I brought it home, I was still in awe listening to it late at night. It's such a good album. It's so much grit, so much great vibes. I mean, there's even a bit of Meshuggah vibes, and there's also some death metal variety in there, hence why they were on the Death Crusher tour and stuff. But I can see why these were on the Death Crusher tour, giving them that bit more exposure, and quite rightly so. I'm hoping that this video gives them a little bit more exposure, because this album is seriously good. There's quite a lot of grit there, quite a hectic amount of heaviness there. There's no bits from what I could hear. There was just 2 8-string guitars just hitting the heavy, crushing, chugs and mighty mammoth sounding riffs. It's so fucking good, and I think this is a really underappreciated, underground, very overlooked album. And I think if you're into down-tempo or even groove metal, I mean, there's not many groove metal fans now and about, and there's not many groove metal bands going that it's still cut the mustard, but this is fantastic for that genre. And I might as well just say, just a quick question. Do you all think that artwork kind of reminds you of Converge? It kind of reminds us of something Converge themed. Anyway, but yeah, this is a great album. Definitely check it out. It is fantastic. And all the links in the description to maybe a track or two or even more from this band. And also a link to their Facebook so you can check them out. And I hope I can get them some fans, because these guys deserve some support. As well as the other bands, Abigor, itchy nose. Abigor, Bloodstained Child, Arcane Roots, and Wodensthone. All these bands may have quite a lot of fans, but these are albums that I think deserve a bit more of a push, and I'm hoping that my video is going to do its purpose and share some brutality with you. But yeah, hope you have enjoyed this episode. Hope you have discovered some new bands and maybe discovered some new tunes that you might be like, yeah, I want to explore that band a little bit more, because that's what these videos are going to be about. So yeah, Till the next episode, till the next episode, stay metal, and I'll see you next video. Hooroo!